Hey everybody, it's Joe DeGanzik, and this is Lighting Answers. It's another one of our Q&A episodes. In fact, we haven't had one for a very long time, and it's entirely my fault. I won't go into why, but anyhow, we're now behind schedule, and we've got a lot of comments and emails to catch up with. We're going to do 2 of these a month, one focused more on home automation, and the other one focused more on lighting, light bulbs, floodlights, LED, all that stuff. Some of them, as you know, now we have things like Wi-Fi speaker light bulbs, so there may be some crossover between the episodes because these industries keep kind of merging together. So anyways, and the way that these things work is when you comment or send me an email, I see all of them. And so usually I try to get back to you within a couple days so that you get your answer. And then we take the best ones, the most interesting, that would be, the kind of most bang for the buck in terms of that would be benefit for the channel and the viewers, and we put them on the show. So at some point we will catch up to real time, to real life here in 2016. And we're going to continue these from this point forward and not have another long delay. So without further ado, let's get to it. And I cannot remember every single one of these, so I'm going to be reading them off and go from there. So this was an email from Eric a while ago. Hello, I really enjoy your videos. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everyone who writes in saying that they enjoyed it or that they learned something. It's just fantastic. I get up every day and I read them, so please keep them coming. It really makes my day when I get your emails. I really enjoy your videos. I have a quick question for you. If I'm running an Indigo server for home automation, this is software on the Mac, do I still need to purchase the Hue bridge in order to make the lights work with my system, or can I do it directly without the bridge? I'm not running Indigo yet, but I'm planning on building out my system. Okay, so the short answer is no. You need the Hue bridge to make it work. Now, some of you will correct me immediately, and you're commenting on the video right now, I can feel it, saying, no, you can do it, whatever. All right, so the basic answer, the no stress answer, is that you need the bridge, but not necessarily. The Hue bulbs, the Hue products are all based on Zigbee. Philips didn't invent it, they just adopted it, and then they kind of added their own little special sauce to it. So that means that the bulbs will work, mostly, asterisk, with other Zigbee systems, things like SmartThings, things like the Wink Hub, anything else that supports Zigbee, including some sort of plug-in that would work with a Zigbee controller through Indigo. What's Indigo, you say? Indigo is running on my Mac back there. That's like a different shot. We normally use the office shot. This is the couch living room shot that I don't think we've used this in the series yet. Anyways, Indigo is like a software hub. It's like a bridge. It's like a hub that can have plugins to multiple different systems. It connects my Insteon lights to Philips Hue, to my Nest, to geolocation software, a whole lot of stuff. But it could talk to your bulbs directly, but the bulbs have to be joined to something. Whether it's the Hue bridge, SmartThings, or some other system, they have to be joined to that first, and then Indigo could talk to that if there's a plugin. So the short answer, my answer to you, my best advice is get the bridge. If you only want to have one Philips Hue device, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but maybe you would, you could buy the bridge. You get to buy everything a la carte. It's cheaper, in my opinion, to just buy the entire starter kit and maybe sell off stuff that you don't need. That's honestly how I did it about 3 years ago. Wow, it was really that long ago. Anyways, so that's my advice to you. You should have the bridge because connecting the Hue bulbs to other systems can have weird issues. If you ever had to take the bulbs off that system, there are issues with that. There's issues with resetting the bulbs. You can Google for Philips Hue bulbs on SmartThings and other systems that don't, when you're not directly connecting them to the Philips Hue bridge. Anyways, that's the short and the long answer. I recommend getting the bridge for hassle-free, trouble-free operation, unless you're a computer guy and you're a hacker and you're a programmer or you're a dog, and you want to get into this stuff and you have no problem supporting it yourself, then please go right ahead and have at it. hopefully that answers your question. Thank you so much. All right, so the next one is a comment kind of on the same subject on Indigo and on Hue. Comment from Richard. Great video. Thank you, Richard. Thank you again to everyone who writes in and says congrats and positive comments. Nice and clean, straightforward. I think he's talking about the home automation in real life video. Some aspects of that video have now changed, and I need to make a new one, so one will be coming out in the next few months at this point. Nice, clean, straightforward, what home automation should be. I have a couple questions. How did you get Indigo software to interact with IFTTT? Also, I don't see in your list of products a Bluetooth hub, so how did you get Indigo to talk to the August smart lock that's behind me? So a couple quick answers is that no, it actually doesn't, August does not connect to Indigo directly. And then the other question on IFTTT and Indigo, I had to use the Philips Hue as sort of a go-between to make that work. It turned out to be unreliable, and I'm no longer using that for my geolocation stuff. But my initial thought to enable that, I said, well, I had done some research on geolocation apps and plugins for Indigo. Again, Indigo is that software that's running on the Mac. It's kind of like the brains of the home automation system. So anyways, I had looked into geolocation possibilities, apps, and the plugins and whatnot, and it seemed unreliable at the time. This was several years ago. Of course, as time goes on, things get better, cheaper, faster, more reliable, and whatnot, and that's what happened. In fact, another friend of mine actually started using it, and he said, hey, have you used this? I'm like, no. So thank you to my friend Dave for telling me about a certain app. But to answer the question, you can have Philips Hue on the app running to control the Philips Hue devices on your iPhone, your Android, whatever platform you've got, to do geolocation triggering. And it can trigger scenes. Scenes can be one light bulb, they can be a few of them. So what I was doing was simply instructing the Hue app, and I'd set up two scenes. One was away and one was home, and they were both using a specific brightness and a color of light that I would probably never choose. I forget what it was. It was just some off shade of cool white, and I think another shade of like a very light pink or something that I would just never choose ever because it wasn't in the spectrum of colors that I would want. So anyways, I could tell Indigo to look for a certain color attribute, RGB values, of those lights, all right, of that particular Philips Hue bulb, and it would change based on geolocation coming home or leaving. But the problem was it became unreliable, and Indigo and its plugin, or I don't think it was Indigo, it was really the Hue and IFTTT, because I had to convert RGB to hex values, so maybe that wasn't perfectly set every time by IFTTT through Hue. So at the end of the day, without going into too much detail, it didn't pick things up reliably, or the light would turn on and then Indigo wouldn't trigger, or the light wouldn't turn the right shade. It just wasn't, it was like 80% reliable, which really wasn't good, but it was a solution before I changed things to the dedicated geolocation app. I'll go into that to a further episode in the future when we talk about Indigo, and I'll put the show notes. I'll put the app name that I'm using now and the plugin name that I'm using now for that. But you can cross-connect things. You can cross-connect Indigo to IFTTT through Philips Hue or through something else. Email. There's other ways within Indigo that it can talk to other outside systems, and IFTTT can pick that up. For those of you who don't know what IFTTT is, it's hard to say it all at once. If this, then that, that's the acronym. So that the acronym is the name of the service. It's a free cloud-based automator service. So I could say, if I receive an email at this address or from this address with a certain subject line, change my lights, or turn down the thermostat. It literally is, if this thing happens, then make this thing happen. And they have hundreds of channels that they call them channels. They're really plugins that can make different things happen. And it could be based on dogs barking as well in the background. So anyways, to sum it up, You can cross-connect these things. If you're using it for what I did, kind of not perfectly reliable, but it works for a while until you find something different. And that's part of what DIY home automation is, especially for those of us who really love to get in there and tinker with things and fiddle with it. You live with it for a while, maybe it's not perfect, and then you find a better solution and you put that one in. And as for the August, nope. Still doesn't connect. I really expected them to go further and expected someone, perhaps a plugin developer, to connect up to August through Indigo, but I think that there is no API that's public. That's why you can't connect to it, and probably it won't work with Bluetooth either in terms of being accessible, because it's a completely proprietary system. I do not have the latest August smart lock because it would cost more money. It connects to HomeKit, but HomeKit doesn't really connect to Indigo. And for me, I'm using HomeKit as more of sort of a research platform and demos for you guys and trying things out, but I don't actually use it in my daily life because I've already got a huge investment into something that's not HomeKit enabled. So that's the long and short answer to that. As we talk about this with IFTTT, triggering something else, triggering the next thing, kind of goes into my the next question. So let's get right on to that. So the third and final question is an email from Sean. Hi, Joe. Keep up the good work. Big fan of your channel. Thank you, Sean, again, so much. Love your feedback on the channel, and I love making these videos for you and everybody. I'm writing to ask you recommendations for home automation pre-renovation. Prior to finding your channel, I came to the realization that picking a platform would be the best place to start. Bingo. It's one of 5 things you should consider. I'm an Apple guy, so I'm probably going to be going towards HomeKit. He wrote a long email, so I have to summarize. Recently purchased a townhome. Going to be moving outlets, putting in Ethernet. Questions on, is wireless, like Wi-Fi, is it reliable? I'm going to have a whole bunch of Apple TVs. Will that cause problems otherwise? I want to do lighting and door locks and garage door, blah, blah, blah. We had a long conversation or a couple of emails back and forth, so he's already been answered, but I figured I would bring this up. But the question is, in general, and I do get these on a regular basis from you guys, I'm looking into doing home automation. I've seen these videos across the internet. I've seen yours. It looks so cool. What do I do? Well, I'm not there. I actually do offer advice and sessions with, if you go to the Patreon page, you can actually buy some of my time and I'll do a FaceTime chat with you about your system and your questions. But anyways, there's probably a link up there to go there. But outside of that, to advise you, it's hard to advise on a solution that's going to work for everyone. But there are 5 things to consider. The number one thing that I ask people, and I ask this of friends of mine, I ask this of home automation clients, what do you want to get out of it? Do you want to automate your lights? Do you want to save money with a smart thermostat? Do you want a combination of several things? Do you want to check for water leaks? Do you want security? Do you want cameras? Do you want sensors? Do you want to upgrade your smoke detectors? I mean, there's so much to home automation, and it goes really beyond what we have even talked about on this show. And we're going to be going farther this year than we ever have before with home automation because there's so much to it. So that's number one. Again, number one leads to number 2, the price. How much do you want to spend? Do you want to just get started? Are you only interested in lighting or like thermostat control? Do you want to do something really basic? Well, that should cost you not too much money. Do you want the whole enchilada? Well, that's going to cost you a lot of money, right? So that 1 and 2 are really tied together for that. So it really is, because some people think they get sticker shock after they find out that it's going to be what they want to do is super expensive. How much time do you want to invest, right? And how techie oriented are you? That's going to be the question of whether you go with a DIY system, like starting with something like SmartThings, which for most people it has the widest compatibility out of the box, so that's good in case you don't want to stick with the one manufacturer of devices. And are you techie at all? Or do you want to do everything from your phone and you don't want to even bother with calling your friends or looking things up on the internet? You just want it to work out of the box and that's it. Again, DIY solutions, things like SmartThings, things like Insteon, things like these hubs You know, there's all of these hubs. Here's the Lutron Casita system hub, compatible with HomeKit, works for lighting, and obviously can then talk to other HomeKit accessories and some of Lutron stuff as well. There's all of these hubs, there's all of these choices out there. So again, do you want something basic, something easy, or something like Indigo, where you can program and do really, really powerful stuff? Are you willing to compromise? That goes along with the same thing. Do you want something that is limited and that's all you want? And down the road, you may run into a problem if you want to upgrade it or do more. Or do you want something that you don't need to compromise with and that's compatible with anything? Again, a software solution. One of the older systems, like I say older, but really they were invented years ago, and they've come up these days with apps and multi-protocol and things like that. Things like Vera and HomeSeer and things like that. Controllers like those where you can control multiple different things. It's a little bit more intense in terms of the work to get it done, and it really is a little bit more on the DIY side than a SmartThings solution or a Wink hub or a Lowe's Iris, but it really depends on how dirty do you want to get in terms of really getting your hands dirty into home automation and replacing switches and programming stuff. Set on a platform. Again, let's talk about HomeKit. Both of these things. Let me grab both of these guys. Both of these are HomeKit compatible. I can build scenes within HomeKit that will trigger Hue lights and Lutron lights. They're two different manufacturers, but I can control them both through HomeKit. This is the same thing that Google's doing with Google's Brillo and Weave project that we'll probably hear more about in May at Google I/O. So it really depends. Do you want to be on the Android platform only? Do you want to be on HomeKit? Do you want to be completely independent with a software or some other system that'll talk to anything, like an Indigo or an old controller? I call them old, but really like a sort of a more of a legacy system, like a Vera or a HomeSeer, or heck, if you want to spend the money and control a lot of different things, Control 4. It really just comes down to all these factors. What do you want to get out of it? How much are you going to spend? How much time do you have? You know, these are the questions. But the basic thing, what do you want to do? That helps tremendously. When you know what you want to do, you can then write an email to me, or you can comment and say, how do I do this stuff, right? Simple. We really sort of have forgotten to put the email address on the shows recently. That's probably the reduction in emails. Anyways, I should do that. So the email address probably is at the bottom of this screen, so you can know where to direct your questions. Those are the questions for today. In the next couple days, we'll have the other Q&A come out on lighting. We tend to get more questions on home automation than we do on lighting, so kind of we'll see how all this goes. But we will be doing these Q&A episodes every single month, and we'll catch up to real time. I do answer your questions pretty quickly, so you get your answers, and then we put them on the show. Have you subscribed to us? You should join the over 3,000 subscribers, like the 3,200 subscribers at this point. That's it. I will start rambling, and we'll see you on the next episode. I'm Joe DeGanzik for Lighting Answers. See you next time.